Scales and George by Mark Hastings. A long time ago, in the land of mountain shadow, George was brave. George was strong. George was a knight who was always looking for someone to save. George was the one who everybody called out to for help, and to the people of his town he could do no wrong. Scales was your common mountain dragon, living in his cavernous cave underneath the earth, when, one day, after returning from a bit of fun that involved flying, fire-breathing, and accidentally scaring half to death the local town folk that lived nearby, Scales was paid a visit by a knight who called himself George, who had the smallest of swords that Scales had ever seen, and who was as full of heart as he was overflowing with words. It was not an everyday occurrence for Scales to be visited by anyone, not even another dragon. It was rare that a human voluntarily came looking for Scales. However, even from his first glance at the young warrior wannabe, Scales could tell that George was not just anyone. "I am George, Knight of the Night, Defender of the Weak, the hero of the people of Mountain Shadow, and I, Dragon, am here to slay you," said George, while holding his sword out in front of him, as he walked into Scales' cave and came face to face with the dragon. To which Scales laughed uncontrollably, and even exhaled a few flames of fire, he was so amused by what he had just heard. Scales, however, was impressed by George's pronunciation and his ability to speak Dragonese, a gift that he did not know that any human could utter. Well, no human before George that he had ever encountered. "Well, George, hero of Mountain Shadow, I am Scales. Nice to meet you," Scales replied with a smile as he looked into George's eyes, and hoped to put a smile on George's glum-looking face. However, George looked angry to Scales for some reason, and he did not appear to be taking a breath, which was probably why his face looked like it was changing colour and why he was shaking so intensely. "Did you not hear me, dragon? I am here to slay you," shouted George, as he could feel his helmet begin to slip even further down his face. "I heard you just fine, George. Would you care to take off your helmet and your armour, maybe? You have come a long way from your town. You must be tired," Scales replied, fearing that George might soon faint. "I cannot do that. I must slay you so that you may stop terrorizing my people. Every time we see you in the sky above, our children scream, our women cry, and our men drink themselves into a stupor. And I have been sent here to face you and to slay you, because among my people there is no one braver than I," said George, as he shook from his helmet to his boots. "Really, dear George, George, Defender of the Weak, I am truly sorry to hear that. I did not mean to cause so much panic. Please forgive me," said Scales, with a genuine expression of regret. To Scales, he was only just having a bit of fun, and he honestly did not mean to cause such upset. "Forgive you? You are asking for my forgiveness? Do you not want to roar, or breathe flames, maybe? Also, can you tell me how it is possible that a dragon such as you are can speak, and speak the most perfect of English?" "It is not I who is speaking English, dear George. You are speaking Dragonese. I had no idea that anyone or anything could speak in the dragon tongue. However, I am both surprised and pleased." "I am? Since when? I had no idea there was such a language," said George with a look of astonishment. "And I had no idea that humans had such a big heart for such a small body. Today is truly a day for human-dragon mutual relations development." "You are not a monster at all, are you?" You are not what our children dream of in their nightmares. I thought that slaying you would be the crowning achievement of my life, but now I realise that though we may look different from one another, there are things that both humans and dragons have in common and share. Perhaps you could return to your town and say that you did in fact slay me. And in return, I promise to never shadow the town of Mountain Shadow, nor shake fear into the hearts of its people ever again, said Scales as he thought out loud. And you would just let me turn around and leave? You wouldn't just come up behind me and eat me so fast that I wouldn't even hear a sound? George, I promise. Believe me, I had no idea that I was perceived as such a demon of the skies by your people. I may be a dragon, I may breathe fire from time to time, but I do not tell lies. In fact, I've been thinking about turning vegetarian. Sheep and cows do not taste that great, and humans do not do any favours to my already sensitive stomach and my problematic digestion, said Scales with a wry, toothy smile after he licked his lips jokingly. But what if someone from town finds out? If my people ever found out that I lied, they might banish me, said George worriedly. No one will find out. Your secret is safe with me. You go home and receive a hero's welcome for slaying me. I will even give you an old tooth of mine as proof. You would do that for me? Said George with a lump in his throat and a tear in his eye. Of course I would, George. That is what friends are for. And if you ever need my help in any way, then do not hesitate to return here in the future, said Scales with a smile, before yawning and stretching out his wings. Thank you. Scales, is it? Thank you for your kindness and your generous offer. I will not forget. Now head home, young knight, and tell your fellow townsfolk how you slayed me easily, and then took a tooth from my mouth as a souvenir. And, as I said, if you ever need me, I'll be right here. And so George turned around with a grin and left Scales' cave, holding an old tooth of his that must have been the size of his head, leaving Scales to rest in comfort and in silence again, and thinking about his new-found human friend. George returned home to his town, more of a hero than he was before he had left, and telling anybody who might want to listen how he slayed the dragon of the mountain, but who to George was secretly his new best friend. Both George and Scales knew that their meeting was just the beginning of a long friendship that would be a staple of their shared future. And both Scales and George knew that it would not be long before they saw one another again, and they shared a brand new adventure. The end.